Would you describe Highly Suspect sound?
It's been described as like a bluesy rock sound. When we were making this recent record, Johnny turned to me and he said, he's like, "Are we making a classic rock album?" I was kind of like, "Yeah, I guess we are." Like, I'm not even mad about it. You listen to like Plastic Boxes off that record, and it kind of like has some sort of like Tom Petty vibes.
Mhm.
So, classic rock, blues rock, that kind of thing.
Oh, because I went back to listen to some of the older stuff when the new album came out, and you can kind of see the progression and sound change a little bit more to that bluesy rock, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think we've always had an element of that. Uh, and then, just recently we just really made the most authentic album that we could to ourselves without sort of having any disposition or, you know, um, preconceived notion of what we want it to sound like or what we want it to compete with or current trends or anything like that. We just almost didn't even care if it sounded like a Fish album or um, Red Hot Chili Peppers album. Like, I don't care. Like, I just want to make music that is authentic, and the guys were kind of on the same page with that. So, just what you get is what you get, and I happen to really like that. I think the fans are really digging it too.
Oh yeah. So obviously for you guys, the instrumentation is just as important as like the lyrics of songs.
Mm.
Um, in that songwriting process, what usually comes first? Kind of like the music or the lyric component.
G- well, generally for us, it's the instrumental part of it. There have been times when John's written something or with someone else or by himself that is, the bones of the song, the lyrics and the structure of it. But at least for this album, a lot of the songs that we made were just jams and pieces that we had fit together, and then um, I kind of equate writing music to making like a wood statue or clay statue or something. You start with a block and you
Mhm.
kind of chip away a little bit of it until you have a basic form of the thing you want to make, and then you start adding little details, and then at the very end you polish it and you throw some lacquer on it to make it shiny, and you've got it. You know what I mean? You got
Oh
it,
yeah.
your thing.
All comes together at the end.
Yeah.
So one of my favorites from the album was Melatonia. To me, like it beautifully builds to this big drop, like musically and the instrumentation. How do you all like work together to like nail that singular moment?
Well, that's a great song to bring up because that's actually one of those ones where he had written the song already.
Oh wow.
Um, it's he had written it originally as an acoustic song, and he was going to use it for a solo project. And I was very supportive of him, whatever he wanted to use it for. But I told him, straight point blank, I was like, dude, this song is incredible and it makes me want to cry. And, if you bring it into Highly Suspect, wouldn't be mad. And he did. But because I had already been listening to it so much as the acoustic version, I kind of had this already idea in my head of um, the band coming in at the very end. Funny enough, with that song in particular, this isn't like a thing across the board, but um, the nobody really knew what to do with the song, and I was just kind of like bouncing on the sidelines, like, put me in, coach. And John was like, yeah, go ahead, go do it. And so I went in there and I was like, here's what we're gonna do. We'll come in at the very end, and all there was the scratch acoustic guitar and a click track. And I put the drums down that are actually there now. It took me like 5 minutes to like form the idea into what it is because I already had listened to it so much. I already had the idea in my head. And I remember when I started playing it, because the guys have been kind of like racking their brains about it for a little bit. Um, there was a lot of excitement in the studio. I kind of was watching them through like the glass windows, like they were just like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome." So we like, I did that, and then it was a really good day. There was a lot of excitement because now we had a direction and a form for the song. So kind of everything fell into place after that pretty easily.
Oh, for sure. I see what you're saying. Like the acoustic kind of start to it just really sets the emotion, and then you get that big break, which just kind of ties it all together.
Yeah, you get a payoff.
Oh yeah. Those
Hmm?
are kind of the best songs to me.
Yeah.
So I know that tour is picking back up soon for you guys. Is there a favorite location you look forward to going back to? Like every time, like every tour, is there like a spot that's always important to go back to?
Well, consistently, it's always New Zealand
Oh.
because that place is beautiful
Mhm.
and they've always been insanely supportive for us. Um, there's a special quality to that place that you kind of can't put your finger on. But when we first signed with we first got management, it was maybe like 12 or 13 years ago, and they were doing some digging after we had signed with them. We had the only thing that we had out at the time really was a couple of EPs, and one of the EPs was called Black Ocean EP, and that had the original version of Lydia on there. And our manager comes to us and he goes, "You guys know that New Zealand loves you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's 5 songs on this EP. There's 3 rock stations in New Zealand. All 3 of them are playing 4 out of the 5 songs in heavy rotation. Which is for listeners out there that don't know, heavy rotation means you're getting airplay once, if not twice, every hour.
Oh
You know what I
wow.
mean? You're blasted in New Zealand constantly. So, and at the time, we could maybe put 30 people in a bar, and they were all of our friends. So yeah, it was pretty incredible. We started getting a lot of like messages from people in New Zealand. We the first time we went over there, they rolled out the red carpet. I mean, we sold out a huge club in New Zealand, and still to this day, it's our largest market by far. We do pretty well, um, you know, in America and in certain parts of the world, but we do the best in New Zealand. We sell the biggest rooms, and they treat us like absolute rock stars, and we love them for that.
Have you gone there yet on this tour, or is it going to be with the upcoming shows?
Yeah, we went over there during the Midnight Demon Club album cycle, and we're gonna go back over there this year in the end of November into December. We'll be going over there and playing a couple arenas over there. Um, of course, when you're there, you got to go hit Australia. You got to do it. And if you haven't been to Australia, I'm here to tell you it doesn't disappoint. The place is magical. I mean, um, I've heard there's a lot of things that can kill you there, but we don't ever venture out of the cities because we were only there for a short amount of time. But we're gonna play. It's called Good Things Festival, and it's like a traveling festival. It's kind of like Lollapalooza used to be, um, where it's city to city.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be really fun. But also on this upcoming tour in September, we're we're originally from Cape Cod,
Mhm.
and we're going to be playing in Boston, which is just outside of Cape Cod.
Mhm.
So it's a hometown show. We haven't played our hometown in 7 years,
Oh wow.
uh, and it's just already shaping up to be just an insane and show. I mean, we're going to be out there with Dead Poet Society. Those are our boys. We love them. Shout out to Dead Poet Society. Um, those guys are also Massachusetts boys. They're all Berkeley graduates, so they're pretty insane what they can do with their instruments. And it's also a hometown show for them, so it's going to be.
I imagine a lot of like friends and family from both of
Oh
you
my
guys.
god, you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. I mean, cousins,
Oh yeah.
and friends, and there's going to be people probably, you know, you can see from the stage that I went to high school with. Yeah, it's already shaping up to be pretty crazy, and it's a really big venue. It's a venue called Roadrunner. It's a brand new venue um out there, and the tickets are already in a pretty limited state right now. It's going to be a really big show. I'm really glad that we have a day off after that one because It's gonna be
You might
rowdy. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So speaking on tour, so when you guys are putting together a set list, is it difficult to decide, like of the older music, what has to be left off and what gets to be included, just to make room for the newer music?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, um, the most logical approach is really to just play the most popular things. You know, like you we want to make the audience happy. We want people to show up and get what they paid good money for, and to have an experience that they can remember for a long time. And the the way that bands that we look up to do it, like Metallica, like Billie Eilish, they literally just look at the data. They look at the numbers and they go, these are the most popular songs. You have the best shot of making people the happiest if you play the songs that they listen to the most. So of course there's some b-sides that we'll throw in there, some favorites of ours, and that will make like a niche portion of the audience happy. And you know, generally people are just stoked to hear a song or whatever. But for the most part, yeah, I think, you know, we go out there and we play the hit songs that people really like. And it will be harder with this current album because we like all the songs on the album. So I don't know exactly what will happen, but there will probably be a heavy load of new music in the set list because we like the album a lot. The fans are really reacting well to it. And if you're just looking at the data, it doesn't lie. I mean, it's just the people love it. So you know, we're kind of winning with the album because you just you just point at one of the songs and like, you know, it's almost guaranteed that the a fan of Highly Suspect is going to really like it. You know what I mean? They're all doing really well.
What songs from the new album are you personally excited to get to play live?
Well, there's two that I'm really excited about. One of them is Suicide Machine. It's more punk rock, which is a kind of like the music that I grew up. I grew up listening to punk and ska and grunge. It's heavy hitting, it's fast, it's, you know, you're gonna sweat when you play it, and so that's kind of my favorite. And I love motorcycles, and it's a very much a motorcycle song. And then I also really love Plastic Boxes. That song is currently the single we have going to radio, and um, it probably took a number of years off my lifespan to make that one, because it was so incredibly complex, but we had to make it simple. Um, Basically, we had two parts of that song that we liked and we knew they went well. The problem was they didn't function properly at the same tempo. So both the chorus and the verses have a 30 BPM difference. So we had to figure out how to ramp up in speed to get to the chorus, and then how to ramp down to get to the verse. And the form that we found in the song is simple and it works, but getting to that point was an immense undertaking that, you know, I'm really proud of us for doing. And then of course John absolutely crushed. The story of that song is near and dear to his heart. The you know, what he wrote is beautiful. And yeah, I love playing that one. I feel like it's simple, but it's a flex in a lot of ways, and it kind of like shows a state of maturity in the musicianship that makes me proud to play it.
And then our final question we love to ask is, what do you want to say to any fans or supporters that watch this?
I want to just tell them to thank you for sticking with us. Um, excuse me. The past 5 years, 6 years of the band's career have been pretty difficult, and I think it is reflected in the music. We put out a couple of records that sort of polarized our fan base, and I'm for that I'm sorry. We went from a blues rock band to hip hop, and very eclectic styles of music. I think, we kind of hit a point where we had to do some experimentations for very complicated reasons. And we did it, and we got it out of our system, and we made As Above So Below, and we love it so much. And we love the way that we made the record because we made it all together in the same room. Um, and we're really proud of it. And for fans that are out there that have stuck with us through all the hard times, and that didn't, that didn't leave us despite all of our trial and errors that we were going through, we appreciate you. And we love you, because if it weren't for you, we would still just be a bunch of dudes in a garage playing to nobody.